General and the Ranking Member of the Crime Subcommittee, Mr. Gohmert.
Thank you. And I do appreciate the work of Chairman Scott, the hearings we've had to get to the bottom of this issue. But I especially appreciate the work of the Heritage Foundation and the National Criminal Defense Lawyers. You know, it's interesting, you've got a group like the Heritage Foundation that some say, well, they're just too conservative, and then others may see a National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers and say, well, they're just out to help their clients. But one thing both groups have seen, and we've had meetings that included the ACLU, people have seen when they looked at this issue, and now the report has codified the problem, that there are people who never intended to be lawbreakers, who believed they were going about being good citizens, that ended up having their cars run off the road, having themselves, their own bodies slammed to the ground, and being arrested and not understanding what in the world they could have done. One of the witnesses we had never even had a speeding ticket. He tried so copiously to avoid ever violating any law. And as we've seen this week, there are real people out there that want to destroy our way of life, that want to kill and maim innocent people. And yet we have dedicated so much of the federal government structure to pursuing people that don't realize they violated anything, and if they did, they wouldn't have done so. And yet, on both sides of the aisle, and it's a problem, it has been for Republicans and it has been for Democrats, we want to show how tough we are on some issue, so we'll just throw in a criminal penalty. That's where we've gotten to about 5,000 laws that have criminal penalties. And one of the things that I saw as a judge is it's not difficult to sentence people who intended to hurt others and hurt others, but my goodness, to arrest people who are law-abiding in every way except something they didn't know about points to a system that must be corrected. And that's why I'm so grateful to the criminal defense lawyers, to the Heritage Foundation for taking the time to do this kind of report, because otherwise it's just out there, we realize it's a problem, but it isn't brought to a head. Now, I realize that whichever party is in the majority, it's not a popular thing to say we have got to clean up the criminal laws, but the truth is we have got to clean up the criminal laws so that innocent people who have done nothing that they knew of, they had no mens rea, no culpability, who want to be law-abiding, who are productive citizens, don't end up being the victim of some law that people voted for just because they didn't want to look weak back home. As I pointed out to leaders in my party over my 5.5 years here, if there's a clerical error, then punish it in a clerical manner. Give them a fine, punish them with some type of civil penalty, but don't authorize some bureaucrats to have guns and handcuffs and big black Suburbans to run them off the road and throw them to the ground and make a big deal about it. That's not what we need to be doing. And unfortunately, this report points out the problem that it's been easier to just say, we'll put a criminal penalty on it. That'll show the country how serious we are about it. But then real, decent, honest people trying to be honest and law-abiding end up being the ones to suffer. And there is no reason to do that when we have real criminal people who want to hurt us and take away our way of life, who need to be pursued. So I'm hoping that, there's a lot of talk about who will take over the majority in November. My hope is that no matter who is in the majority, whether it's Chairman Scott heading up the crime subcommittee or whether it's a Republican, either way, this points to the problem. It's not a party issue. This is a national issue, and it should be a national embarrassment that decent people have been arrested, have been handcuffed in front of their children, their spouses, and hauled away when they didn't know they needed a little sticker on a package they were mailing. Heritage Foundation has a great book that's come out, but I just keep going back to days in college when I read one of the most ridiculous books that I could ever imagine. I couldn't believe we were required to read it, written by a guy named Kafka. And I'm going, this is so ridiculous. This could never happen. And then we had the hearing that Chairman Scott called, and we heard from people, and it hit me to the core. My gosh, these are all Kafka novels, except that they're really happening in our country. So I applaud Attorney General Meese, your work, the work of the Heritage Foundation. I want to thank you so much for being willing to come and work together to do this report and bring this problem out in clear sight, so that I'm hoping it will force us to do something about it. Thank you so much.